you would describe everything in your emergency that's marked in red. You would go triangles, emergency kit behind the seat, fire extinguisher, 9 exits, 2 doors, 2 overhead hatches, as well as the 5 emergency windows, all indicated in red. We also talked about the circuit breakers, both at the top and at the rear of the coach. Now you're going to move through with the walkthrough. And I like to start from the top and work my way to the bottom. Starting at the top, we have our interior lights that run the entire length of the bus. They're properly mounted and secured to the coach. We have our stanchion bars, so you're going to walk and just tap them. We have our stanchion bars and seats, properly mounted and secured to the coach. What are these called? Stanchion bars, or just bars. Properly mounted and secured to the coach. Our floor is free of any debris. We have 2 steps back here, which is indicated by the red lettering and the amber color lighting, which says watch your step. We'll make certain of that. Checking your seats and your stanchion bars. Our windows, again, those circuit breakers are back here. Our windows are all free of any illegal stickers or cracks, all properly mounted and secured to the coach. As we mentioned earlier, here's a mirror that's properly mounted and adjusted to me. We spoke earlier about the front door. Same applies for the back door. In case of emergency, you will break glass, push the window freely forward. Now you've done your interior, you're going to work your way outside of the vehicle. You're going to start by exiting the vehicle. You're going to point out as you enter and exit the vehicle, there's 3 points of contact, 1 foot on the floor by holding the handles and stepping your way down, which makes out for 3 points of contact. From here, you're going to work your way to the front of the vehicle. You're going to start off at the top. Again, we go top to bottom. This bus has 5 amber and colored clearance lights, all properly mounted and secured to the coach. We have our windshield, which is free of any illegal stickers and debris, properly mounted and secured. As we before mentioned, our wiper blades are properly mounted and secured to the coach, as well as our mirrors, properly mounted and secured to the coach. No illegal stickers. They're all adjusted to me. From the front here, we have 2 amber and colored turn signals or 4-ways. They are not cracked, properly mounted and secured to the coach. We have 4 white or clear in color headlights, both low beams and high beams, properly mounted and secured to the coach. There are no cracks. We have our bumper. As you can take a look, see, we have bumper. There is no leaks. Our bus is level. Everything's properly mounted and secured to the coach. However, this bus is equipped with a bike rack, which is in good working condition. It is properly mounted and secured to the coach. We're going to work our way over to this side. There's 4 major parts on this side over here. You have your steering, your suspension, your brakes, and your wheels. Okay? Keep that in mind. Steering, suspension, brakes, and wheels. When I get to this side, you want to start at the top. We have an amber and color reflective clearance light, properly mounted and secured to the coach. We have our driver window, which is clean. There's no illegal stickers, properly mounted and secured to the coach. When we get to those 4 parts, I like to start with the steering because I can see the steering wheel. When you describe those 4 parts, the steering, you will simply say, we have a 20-inch steering wheel, which is connected to a steering shaft, which is connected to the gearbox, which is gear driven. The other 5 components are held together with nuts, bolts, and cotter pins, all properly mounted and secured, which is connected to a frame which runs the entire length of the bus. It is not warped, it is in good working condition, properly mounted and secured to the coach. Then we're going to move to our suspension. You can't see the suspension, but the tail sign here is that here are the valve air release. So you move to our suspension. Our suspension is what I like to call ATS, airbags, torque bars, and shocks. Our airbags are properly inflated. They are not leaking. They are in good working condition, held together top and bottom with nuts and bolts, properly mounted and secured to the coach. Our torque bars are in good working condition, properly mounted and secured with nuts and bolts, and our shocks are held together with nuts and bolts top and bottom in good working condition. They are not leaking. They are properly mounted and secured to the coach. From the suspension, I move to the brakes because they're on the other side of the wheel and you can't see them, and you work your way out. Our brakes, our ABS line and brake lines are in good working condition. They are not leaking, properly mounted and secured to the coach. We have a brake chamber, and we have a slack adjuster with no more than 3/4 inches of play. Properly mounted and secured to the coach. Our brake drums and our brake pads are not worn dangerously thin. Then we move to our wheel. We start off, we have a rubber tire trim here, which is connected to a mud flap, rubber mud flap, properly mounted and secured to the coach. You're gonna say properly mounted and secured to the coach 1,700 times in this pre-trip. Continue to say it, because that's what they're listening for. We're gonna move to the top of our tire. I started at the top and I work my way down. The top of the tire, the front tire can have no less than 4/30 seconds of tread depth. It cannot be recapped. It cannot be rethreaded. The proper inflation for the front tire is 100 PSI. There are no bulges. There are no scrapes on the tires. Our rim, there are no illegal welds or bulges. There are no signs of any leaking. Our nuts are all properly mounted and secured to the coach. They are tight, as well as our axle nut. There is no excessive oil. All properly mounted and secured to the coach, as well as our valve stem, which is capped, properly mounted and secured to the coach. We always have to make sure we have caps when we go for our CDL trip. You're done with the wheel. You start working your way back. As we mentioned, our windows are in good working condition. We have a lower amber color reflective light. We have an amber and color reflective light here, all properly mounted and secured to the coach. Our rear wheels are the same as the front wheels, but there are a few exceptions. One, the rear wheels can be inflated to 110 PSI. The minimum tread depth is 2/30 seconds of an inch. There are no bulges. The rear wheels can be recapped and they can be rethreaded. There are two wheels back here with a spacer in between. Again, our rim is not illegally welded, all in good working condition. Our lug nuts are tight, all properly mounted and secured to the coach, with our valves are still in place. Moving to the tail end of our bus, we have a red reflective light, clearance light, properly mounted and secured. Our muffler is held together with straps and nuts, properly mounted and secured. There are 3 straps that hold our muffler. When we get to the rear, of the coach, you're going to talk about the 4 fluids, and you're going to talk about the 4 pertinent parts. You're going to start with the left-hand side, and you're going to say, and I'm modeling this after the bus that we're going to be using. We're going to be using buses 499 through 501. Over here, we have our coolant, which is red or green in color. We have our transmission dipstick, which is properly mounted secured to the coach. Our transmission dipstick is brown or black in color. We have our engine oil dipstick, properly mounted secured to the coach. It is black or brown in color. We have our, what was the dipstick here? We have our power steering fluid, which is black or brown in color, properly mounted and secured to the coach. We have a alternator and a power steering pump, properly mounted and secured to the coach. Both are belt driven with no more than 3/4 inches of play, properly mounted and secured to the coach. This bus also has an air compressor and a power steering. The air compressor and the power steering are both gear driven. They are both properly mounted and secured to the coach. Rounding out the pre-trip, the right side is the same as the left with a few exceptions. On this side, we have a mileage hub. We have a compartment to put in our fuel. Obviously, this side has 2 doors. We have 2 white and color courtesy lamps. We have an external speaker with volume. We also have lights for our kneeler and our ramp and a white courtesy lamp. This bus is equipped with a kneeler and a ramp. Would you like for me to demonstrate? Typically they say no.
Excuse me.
That is the end of the pre-trip.